Hey, what's up guys? So last year I did a significant amount of research deciding on which Christmas tree I should get for my house. Now, we had some criteria that we wanted to meet. First off, which really limited my choices, was I wanted it to be 10 foot tall. My next criteria is I wanted it to be pre-lit, so it comes with the lights. Another thing with the lights is I wanted them to be dual color, so I wanted to be able to switch from warm white to this multicolor. And then the last criteria was I wanted a good quality tree that would last me hopefully a decade. I have young kids. We don't want to be buying a new tree each year, so I'm hoping to get at least a decade out of this tree. So I feel like a lot of other people will have similar criteria and be looking at trees, and I basically narrowed it down to 3 companies based on that criteria. And it was Balsam Hill, King of Christmas, and National Tree Company. Now I ultimately went with this tree here, which is from National Tree Company, and I did that because I was just thinking, in my opinion, this was the best value for me, which doesn't mean it would be the best value for you, but I want to spend some time on this video explaining how I determined that value and why I went with this one. And obviously I can't really speak to those other companies because I don't have their trees, but I do have this one, and I know other people will be considering this one, so I wanted to give my opinion and review of it and just kind of show you what it actually looks like in real life, how it performs, so that if you're considering getting one of these trees, you have more information and can help you make a decision. All right, so let's go back to that reason why I thought this was the best value. And right off the bat, this tree is about half the cost of those other 2 companies that I mentioned, Balsam Hill and King of Christmas. Now, when you go to a 10-foot tree, all 3 companies actually offer slim or narrow options, but this would be a full Christmas tree, which is going to be about 60 to 70 inches in diameter, the base width. And when you're looking in that category, you'll see that this is about half the cost as those other 2 companies. On the Christmas tree website, this was significantly more, but I actually bought it on Amazon. It cost me $820. I'll put a link down in the description of the exact one that I bought. And when I looked again this year, I bought this tree last year, it actually looks like it's on sale now for $770. If you look at the other companies, it's about $1,800 for a 10-foot tree that's not narrow, that comes with pre-lit lights that are dual color. I saw there was like some Black Friday sales and early November sales, and you could get it down to maybe $1,600, but it was like $1,600 to $1,800, and you could definitely spend more than that. There's $3,000 trees that are the same dimensions and stuff, just a different type of tree. But my point is, that was the biggest thing that weighed into my decision making was, okay, do I really want to spend 2 to 3 times the amount for a better tree? Or do I want to go with this guy, which was significantly cheaper? And when I saw that, my biggest concern is that it's not going to look good. It's going to be cheap and not be high quality and not last as long and just not look as good as these other trees. And like I said, I can't do a side-by-side comparison and can't speak to that. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that Balsam Hill and King of Christmas is a higher quality tree, probably does a better job of looking like a real tree as opposed to an artificial tree. They're definitely marketed that way, and I think that's what you would pay for the extra money. So some of the differences is the amount of lights that come in the tree. You're getting about 1,600 to 1,700 with those other companies, where this guy right here, there's only 1,200 in the tree. And there's a little bit of weirdness there, because if you actually go on Amazon, you'll see in one spot it says that there's 900 bulbs, and in another spot it says that there's 1,200 bulbs. And when I looked at this exact model number and compared it to the National Christmas Tree website, on the website they do list 1,200, and I'm not even going to try to count the amount of lights on here, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that that's the number. So you get about 400 to 500 more lights with those higher quality, more expensive options. You could always put more lights in a tree. It's a big, great, good looking tree in my opinion, but obviously that's why I wanted to make a video, so you can actually get your eyes on it, see how you like and look at it. If you want 30 to 40% more lights than this, those other options I mentioned, Balsam Hill and King of Christmas, have that. Now this diameter is 70 inches. The King of Christmas one was 71 inches, and the Balsam Hill was actually only 60 inches. Now they do have other trees that are 10 foot tall, pre-lit, dual color, that are wider diameter, but they're gonna be more expensive than the cheapest one they had, which was about $1,600 to $1,700, depending on if you got a coupon code and whatnot. So in terms of the height, the width, those are about the same. Another thing you can use to compare is the amount of tips at the end of the tree. When I looked at the Balsam Hill one, it was above 7,000, where King of Christmas was like 5,000 to 6,000 and this was about 5,090, so it had the least amount of tips. So keep that in mind. You know, that's why I think the other ones are probably just more filled out, maybe do a better job of hiding the fact that they are not real trees. I know the Balsam Hill one has a bunch of different options, and what I could gather from doing some online shopping is, you know, that's really what they excel at and do really well, is giving that real life look and replicating, you know, actual real trees. I'll get some close-ups of this, but in my opinion, this does a good job. All right, now some other things that you'll get with those more expensive Christmas trees, I think they come with remotes. I don't believe this one did. If it did, I already threw it away. But the other options come with a remote to change the color of the lights. Another thing I thought was really cool is the actual way you connect the top lights, middle lights, bottom lights is within the trunk. It's built right in the electrical cord, which I thought was really awesome idea. This is not that way. You have to physically connect the wires. If there's some other things I'm not mentioning, please drop them in the comments for others to see, you know, and differences and how this compares to those other two companies. This does have, I believe, 8 different light modes. It comes with a little stepper thing here so you can change the different, you know, lights. This is one of my favorite, where it's kind of like, you know, got that bluish, purplish in between look, but it has twinkle and it can go between different colors. I'll show some B footage of it, like changing colors and going through them and stuff. But that's why I kind of got hung up. I'm like, man, I can save half the money and it seems like it's a pretty similar tree. I'm giving up a little bit of lights and maybe it's not as full. So I took the risk, went ahead and bought the tree. And I can definitely say I'm super happy and satisfied with it, and I would recommend it. So one thing I'll say right off the bat is you'll see, at least on Amazon when I was reading, I saw it said take like 45 to 60 minutes to fluff out the tree. If it's a 10-foot tree, you're gonna need more time than that. And I think that would be true for any artificial Christmas tree you get. You know, it's gonna come in a box and all these tips are gonna be condensed. So you're definitely gonna wear gloves and a long sleeve shirt, and it takes a lot of time fluffing out all these tips and opening them up. And I think that is one of the crucial things to having a good experience and making this tree look good, is you need to take the time to do that, because if you don't do that, you're going to notice blank spots in the tree where you can actually see the trunk. And with me and my wife, it took us 2 to 3 hours. So if you add that up, that's 4 to 6 hours of us actually fluffing this tree. Now that might be overkill, but I noticed with some of the reviews, I looked at this tree, that was one of the complaints, was that you could see the trunk and it wasn't fluffy enough, I suppose. But I think it's just because they didn't take the time to actually go through each individual tip and open up the tree so that it really fills itself in. And essentially there's different branches at each level. The branch opens up and then it has 3 main stalks, a middle and 2 sides. I would open those up to 45-degree angles. And then within each one of those, there's individual tips that you want to open up and basically try to point it in all the different directions. And when you do that, I think it gives a really good, full, great look. We've definitely got a lot of compliments on our tree and I love it. I think it looks spectacular. For the rest of the video, I just want to kind of rapid fire some pros and cons on this specific tree. All right, so one of the pros, which is obviously an opinion, but in my opinion, I think this is the best value in terms of quality versus what you're paying with price. I think they did a great job with the realism. I think it has more than enough branches to make it look real and cover up the trunk. I think it has plenty of lights to give a full lit appearance. I really like the different options that it comes with for the lighting modes. And obviously I was really happy with the tree. All right, now the biggest con has to be setting this tree up, especially if it's 10 foot, which I think you're gonna get with any kind of tree, but it takes a long time to actually fluff all these things out to make it look really good. It's kind of difficult to actually get to the top. You know, you have to put some kind of chair or ladder, but then it goes in up there and it's not easy. It's gonna take some time to set this up and to take it down. When it comes to storing this tree, there's no real easy way to do it. Like I said, I had to buy 2 large bags, put links to those in the description, on Amazon to be able to store this thing, and it takes up a lot of room in the off season. I mean, like I said, even though it was the cheapest out of those 3 I was considering, it's still pretty expensive, 800 bucks for a tree. There's definitely cheaper alternatives out there, and I didn't really have time to go physically look at them, so I can't compare and say, hey, it was definitely worth spending the extra money, but it is expensive. And really, I mean, it's a Christmas tree. I couldn't think of many other pros and cons, but the big thing I wanted to convey and get across for you guys is like, hey, here's what the tree looks like. If you're considering getting this one, Now you know more about it. This is the amount of lights that it has. This is how full or unfull the light coverage is. And if you have some other Christmas trees that you think are better, that you like, or you've actually got a King of Christmas tree or a Balsam Hill tree, I'm genuinely curious. Let me know what it's like down in the comments. If you think it was worth paying the extra money, if you're satisfied with it, if it's durable, if you've had them for a long time. Like I said, this is my second year with this tree, so I can't even really say if it's gonna last, but so far so good. Like I said, we get a lot of compliments on the tree. I personally love it. Christmas is my favorite holiday. We like to put it up early and take it down late, but that's just my family. Appreciate you watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.